Another study coming out showing Illinois losing population rather than gaining population. This most recent story comes from U-Haul. Welcome back, Bishop on Air. In the state of Illinois, we've lost a population over the past decade. A decade of decline. And it's not just the U.S. Census numbers. As my colleague over at thecentersquare.com reported yesterday, Kevin Bessler getting these numbers from U-Haul, showing that new report has Illinois among the states in the country with the most outbound moves in the last year. Now, this is an interesting conversation because when we've reviewed the past 10 years of U.S. Census data showing the state of Illinois losing population, it ultimately has added up to more than 500,000 people over the last 10 years when you add up each annual population estimate that the U.S. Census has put out. So that's 10 full years of continued decline for the state of Illinois. And some Democratic leaders in the states have essentially denied that, saying that the U.S. Census is getting it wrong. But those who point to the U.S. Census also have other studies that they've pointed to over the past decade that Illinois is losing population, and it includes other federal data from the Internal Revenue Service. The Internal Revenue Service were able to show with previous reports, and we're expecting to see those reports in the weeks and months ahead for annual taxpayer migration, right? Because the IRS is able to see, you filed a tax form in this state this year, but then you filed a tax form in a different state a different year, so they add all those numbers up. And even the IRS data has shown not just people moving to other states, but the billions of dollars of tax revenue that they take with them to other states. So that's another number, a federal number that people have pointed to, saying Illinois is losing population. But despite the IRS data, people point to the census data, and Democrats say they got it wrong. And they've even requested that the U.S. Census revise the numbers upwards. But obviously that number has not been revised upwards. But now we've got even more data. This from a moving company, U-Haul. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Again, my colleague at the Center Square. You can follow along with the Center Square at thecentersquare.com. Report Illinois among top states for outbound moves in 2023. And I see U-Haul trucks all the time. There's actually a U-Haul thing close by to my house, so I grabbed that picture. But a new report shows that Illinois was among the top states in the country for outbound moves last year. U-Haul's 2023 Growth Index report released on Tuesday is calculated by comparing the net gain of one-way U-Haul trucks arriving in a state against the net gain of trucks departing the state. Only California and Massachusetts ranked lower than Illinois for outbound moves. And you've got the U-Haul International president, John Taylor, saying in statements, while one-way transactions in 2023 remained below the record-breaking levels we witnessed immediately following the pandemic, we continue to see many of the same geographical trends from U-Haul customers moving between states. U-Haul International President John Taylor said. All right, according to U-Haul movers, preferred destinations in the southeast and southwest regions of the states in 2023. Texas was deemed U-Haul's most popular state. All right, so you've got even others within the U-Haul agency highlighting that Texas has a much friendlier business climate. So they say the lower cost of living, taxes for those companies obviously is a huge investment for them. This is Corey Hall, a quote saying that for the employees moving them, obviously, those employees moving with them, the pay's increased because they're not paying state income taxes on top of the property taxes, which are substantially lower in Texas than in other larger cities. Illinois regularly is among the second or third most expensive property tax states. But all of this, again, stacks on top of U.S. Census data that shows the state of Illinois continues to lose population. But let's go ahead and take a look at the overall chart that you all put out. This is from a news release, and they, of course, highlight some of the things that we just talked about, but they do break down all of the growth states, and Texas at top, Florida number 2, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, they're right up there rounding out the top 5. Let's take a look at some of our neighboring states. Tennessee's pretty close to Illinois, though you got to get through Kentucky. So where was Kentucky on this list? They were a little below the half of the pack. Missouri right there as well, Indiana as well, Wisconsin. So it looks like all of Illinois' neighbors really kind of clumped together here. Ohio at 23rd, but right in the middle of the pack. You look all the way down close to the end, and Illinois is behind Massachusetts and California for the people who are moving out of the state. So that's again another indication here that we've got the population issues in the state of Illinois. Another report stacking on top of the U.S. Census report data that Illinois continues to lose population. This is a story where we'll get reaction to, especially from those who say that the state of Illinois is not losing population, and how do we reverse that trend? I think is always an important question to ask. Something that we've asked before. Even some Republicans and Democrats agree that, listen, we need to make the state more competitive with neighboring states. So clearly that's an ongoing issue that we will track here with Bishop on Air. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming up. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and connect with us on X, on Facebook, and, of course, here on YouTube. Stay tuned. Always plenty more to come here with Bishop on Air.